Like I said, this is going to be 3 days. It will be 11 to 1 Pacific time today, Thursday, and Friday. So it will be recorded. We have 2 speakers each day. And it's going to be fabulous. And we're going to have a little bit of homework we're going to send out at the end of each day as well. So keep an eye on your email. Links will be sent out, all that kind of stuff. And then so that you know what to expect, like everyone's giving their best information in the 45 minutes they have to speak. So there's a lot more that they teach, right? So we're going to send out a page, take everyone's contact information now, but we're also sending out a page. It's a website and it has all the speakers, how to get in contact with them, how to, download their gift. Almost everyone has a gift, how to be in contact with them to keep learning more. Because what they're going to say is just the tip of the iceberg. As you know, 45 minutes to learn a topic isn't much, but at least it's enough for you to know, like, oh, that would be beneficial, or no, that's not my thing right now. So I encourage you to go to that speaker page when we send it out and look at all the speakers, the free gifts that they have for you, and how to continue to learn more with them if it aligns with what you're looking to do with your financial goals and your life goals. Also, what you'll get from me is know that next week, you're going to get a lot of information from me. And it's basically what you need to take what you learned today and start putting it into action. So here's a bit about my story. So 10 years ago, I had my first child, and I was like, okay, I need to do something different in my finances. It was kind of like a wake-up call. Like, okay, it's not just me floating around the world by myself here. I'm growing a family. I need to do things differently with my wealth, with my money. So I started learning. However, that was 10 years ago. It wasn't until 5 years ago that I started taking action on what I was learning. So I was in rooms just like this, and I learned information that would change my life, but I didn't take action until 5 years later. I wrote a plan and I started taking action. So what you'll get from me next week is really how to create an action plan for yourself to move forward and make changes in your financial life, in your financial future, and then really your lifestyle, right? That's why we're all here, to change our lifestyle, because something isn't perfect, something isn't growing, and we're going to teach you how to do that. So 5 years ago, I took action. So what have I done in those 5 years? So I didn't stop learning. I still continue to learn. So for instance, 2024, how many days into it are we? I've spent 10 full entire days in classrooms learning. So I never stop learning. I am always learning, and I'm always giving as well. So whatever I learn, I'm like, whoa, that blew my mind. I bring it back to this community. And we don't sell anything in these events, so just know that. So in the last 5 years, what have I done? So I took action, and what are the results? So a few things. I 10x'd my net worth. I replaced my job with passive income. So I was able to quit my W-2 job. Yes, I'm still working. I'm running Sugo Capital, but it is a completely different lifestyle. So the passive income was able to replace my W-2. I did that. 10x my net worth. That's pretty exciting, right? I don't know if I'll be able to do that in the next 5 years, but goals, action plans, that's where we're at. I was able to retire my mom with her investments with me. I'm able to do really luxurious things with my family's sailing trips around the world. We bought a yacht last year. I gave my husband a Lamborghini for our 13th wedding anniversary, these kind of things. And I don't say that to boast. I say that so that if you take action on what you're learning today, your life can drastically change, because none of those things were possible in our life 5 years ago, not at all. And so that is just 5 years. So imagine if you take what you learn and put it into action, what can your life look like? What do you want to change if you really focus on goals? So, like I said, 10 years ago, I started learning. 5 years ago, I took action. It wasn't until that action started to happen that life changed. So I'm so happy to put this on, because my goal is to change as many investor lives as possible through what I've learned. There's a lot of people out there talking, and they have courses on this and that, how it's going to change your life. And some of them do, some of them don't. So I share what changed my life with all of you guys. So up today, I'll stop talking and I'm going to introduce Tanisha. She is our first speaker. She's created a company that it's just incredible, you guys. She helps her clients create an income snowball, and she's going to talk about that. But it's really, if your dream is, I have an active income stream and I want to replace that with a passive income stream so I can do something else with my time. If you're like, yeah, that's what I want, then what Tanisha is going to talk about will be perfect for you. So without further ado, Tanisha, you want to take it away? Introduce yourself and take the screen and let's rock.
Sure. All right. I'm excited to be here. I love it whenever we do stuff together, Sarah, because my clients love you and everything that you stand for, and these events are fantastic. And anyway, we just we have such a similar story too, and I'll go into that just slightly a little bit later. So let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen here.
Mm-hmm. And you guys should see what's in the chat. Lots of people giving love to Tardus and Tanisha. Clients that are here. So there's some social proof for you guys that this can change your life.
Awesome. Yeah, I was like waiting for someone to say I'm from Hawaii. I'm like, am I the only Hawaii person on this? And then I was like, oh no, there's a couple Hawaii people. A friend of mine from France is on. Annie. Hi, Annie. Got a lot of people. This is great. This is fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, I'll just jump right in. I know I'm going to try to go somewhat quickly here because we have 45 minutes and I want to make sure that every speaker has their full time as well. And then I think we're going to have a Q&A session a little bit later on. So try to save your questions for then. I will be back for that when we get to that. All right. So game on, how to accelerate any asset with the income snowball. So I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about how this whole system works and how to incorporate what you learn in my session with everything you're taught for the entire week. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that there's just a lot here. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste of it so that you can start to put the puzzle pieces together and see how this will work with all the other strategies that you learn this week. I like to do a disclaimer. For those of you who don't know me, I am an attorney. So I used to practice law. It was a career that I did not like. I know a lot of people do like their job. I think a lot of lawyers don't though. But so I quit the practice of law, but my lawyers tell me that I have to put this in here. So I want to make sure that I give a disclaimer that we do not have any financial relationship with any investment platform. So whenever I do talk about investments, please know that we don't earn any kind of commissions or kickbacks or anything. We're not financial advisors. So that's not what we do. I will share with you what we do. And so I'll get into that as well. Okay. I know how you're about to feel. I felt this way before when I've gone to events like this, the Confident Investor Series. You're going to feel like you are drinking from a fire hose because you're going to learn so many great things this week. What I'm going to try to do is give you some fundamentals, kind of break it down a little simpler, and then also try to help you see how you can fit all of these items that you learned this week together, right? And so that's the reason why I'm going to share with you how the income snowball system can help you achieve some of the results that some of the results that my clients have received, as well as incorporate just about any type of investment into your plan and really accelerate it. Okay. So whenever I do events like this, I like to ask people questions like, what are your concerns? And especially with what's happening right now, people will say things like, well, lack of resources, right? I only have so much money to go around. I have, maybe, $50,000 over here, 100,000, whatever. I have only so much money. There's too many investment choices and not enough resources. And so what I want to show you is some fundamentals that will help you be able to make better decisions when it comes to investing so that you can make multiple choices and you have more options, but also you're a more confident and a smarter investor as well. And that's why learning and coming to these types of events are so important. Taxes, right? That's going to be one of our biggest expenses in our lifetimes. And so some of the speakers are going to be talking about ways to save on taxes. I'm also going to share a little bit about how the income snowball system can help you save on taxes as well. So we know that this is something that's for sure, just like, they say death and taxes are a given. It's something that all of us are going to face at some point. So we want to try to reduce that as much as possible. Non-performing investments is a big concern that a lot of people have, right? There's the stock market volatility, rental income, like for example, during COVID. I'm going to give you a quick example. We had a gentleman come to us. He had 44 rental units. 44 rental units, fantastic, right? Huge portfolio of rental properties, great rental income. However, when COVID hit and the government said that the renters didn't have to pay, over half of his renters did not pay their rent. I want you to think about that, having 44 units and over half of your renters not paying rent. So the reason he came to us was to make sure that he had enough money, not just, obviously from the rentals, they weren't paying it. He had to cover the mortgage, right? The government didn't say he didn't have to pay his mortgage. So he had to pay his mortgages, but he wasn't getting the full rent. So he came to us to help him create an income snowball to supplement and support him to reduce the risk of default on those mortgages. And that's one of the things that we help them do. So when your investments aren't performing or they're not performing as expected, you need to have a plan A, B, C, D. That's one of the things that we help our clients do as well. And then, of course, I think what a lot of people are really concerned about, especially right now, is the low value of a dollar, right? Your investment buying power has gone down simply because the value of the dollar has gone down. When we're looking at recessions and what's happening right now with the economy, it really affects our ability to invest as much as we would like to, right? If you go back a couple of years ago, maybe you'd see a difference as far as what your buying power could do with investments. And now we're seeing that that's just not the case. So I'm going to share some ways to combat each and every one of these things and how you can do that through the solution that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to show you how to make money in good and bad economic conditions. What you want, right, as a confident investor, what you want is to learn how to make money regardless of what the economic conditions are. It shouldn't matter if the value of the dollar's gone down. It shouldn't matter if we're in a recession, if the economy's booming, if the stock market's up, if real estate's up, or if it's down. Shouldn't matter. And so I'm going to show you how you can do that regardless. And if you can do that in good times and bad, it's almost like dollar cost averaging, where you actually have so much more assets, but it's even better than that. So I'll share that with you too. You'll be able to ignore stock market fluctuations because most people, right, if they're just sitting there with their eyes glued to what's happening in the markets, they're freaking out, right? They're not able to sleep at night. They're looking at their 401ks and they're going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to retire in 5 years. Probably my portfolio isn't going to allow me to do that. And we actually have had a lot of people over the years come to us with those situations. I remember one woman in particular, she was actually she had a furniture business and she was going to shut the business down and move to another country in South America. And she was going to take her assets and move there. But then I think this was around the 2008 crisis. She, of course, her portfolio got chopped in half and then that whole thing went away. So she was right at the time when she was about to retire and move to South America and build this big, beautiful house and do all this stuff. Something outside of her control, what happened with the economy, she lost half of her net worth. So you'll be able to ignore that because your assets won't be tied directly to what happens with the stock market. Also, what I'm going to show you is going to help increase the performance of your investments. So again, if you have rentals right now and they're performing or not performing as well, there are ways to increase the performance of those investments, increase the cash flow of those investments, and also to safeguard yourself from things like, repairs or renters leaving so that you have more options, you have more choices, and you'll be able to do different things a little bit differently. Also invest in multiple income producing assets. I believe that each one of us should not have all of our eggs in one basket. You should have multiple streams of income. So I'm going to share with you how to multiply your assets and then have those assets buy additional assets in a very rapid format. And then create predictable monthly income to buy more investments. Everybody wants monthly income, but if it's predictable, recurring monthly income, that makes it so much more makes you feel better, makes you more secure for the future. And then what you can do when you can predict what you're going to have. Also, lower your tax burden by buying more tax advantaged investments. You're going to have some speakers that are coming today and throughout the week who are going to be talking about tax advantages, self-directed IRAs, different types of ways that you can reduce your taxes, help your help your tax preparer or your accountant help you. And so, we're going to show you how to kind of fit both of these things, all of these concepts together, and you're going to be able to purchase more. I'm going to show you how to make your money work harder without investing more. So in other words, a lot of times what you need is more and more and more to invest in the future. And so sometimes it's a gamble, right? If you're thinking, okay, this investment, I've got to invest $50,000 this year and 50,000 next year and 50,000 the next couple of years. What if I don't have it in 3 years? Or what if, this happens or whatnot? If all you needed was a little bit of cash flow, not even using your savings, not tapping into retirement funds, not tapping into any of your, other assets, but could actually use just a little bit of cash flow to create a huge pile of assets, that's going to make your money work harder for you, and you don't have to invest a lot more. And then all of these things will also help reduce the risk of your investments, because number one, you're going to make better choices from the start. If you know the type of investments that will help you accelerate your plan, will help you reach a certain goal. And if you knew the time frame, I want you to think about this. What if you knew when, a date certain, that you would not have to work, that you would reach financial freedom, right? I'm not talking about, if you invest at 9% interest in the stock market, if you can find an investment like that and invest over the next 40 years, you will have, 5.2 million and you can live on the interest. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where you have a specific step-by-step plan. And I'll give you some examples, but every person's an individual, by the way. But if you knew exactly step-by-step what you needed to do and that you would achieve this result by this time and date, this date, what would you do, right? What would you do with that information? Hopefully you'd follow the plan and learn some things and gain some skills on choosing investments, on all the things that we just talked about. All right. Okay, it's tall order. I know it sounds like, what? That sounds impossible, blah, blah, blah. But this is what we've been doing for a pretty long time. So I'll share this with you in a second. So in a recession, every dollar is worth less money, right? They say it takes money to make money, and of course it does. But what if it didn't? What if your dollars weren't worth less? What if you were able to allow them to do more? And what if it took less money to make money, right? What if you could buy income streams that aren't tied directly to stock market like we talked about? And what if you could buy almost any income producing asset you wanted and reduce the risk of it not performing? Okay. I alluded to it with the gentleman with the 44 rental units, but there's a lot of other examples like that I could give you. What if you knew which investments to buy to reach your predetermined financial freedom date in 10 years or less? So our average client is able to reach financial freedom, and I want to make sure we're on the same page as far as the definition of that. So we'll go into that in a second. But they normally reach it within 5 to 10 years. Some people do it a lot faster. I'll give you a couple of examples of that too, but average 5 to 10. So, and everybody's different, right? There'll be some people that reach it in 15, but hell, that's better than 40 years, right? That's a lot better. So, keep that in mind. So what if you could create predictable monthly income? Let me kind of walk you through how we're going to do this. And you can take notes, but again, we're going to have some freebies for you that I'll explain at the end here. And I think this webinar will be available for replay, so in case you miss anything, you can go back and watch it. So my name is Tanisha Souza. I am the CEO and president of Tardus Full Strategies, and I just noticed that I'm wearing the exact same blouse in my picture that I'm wearing right now. I didn't even realize that until just now. But I do, anyway, we have a A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we've been in business for over 20 years. I've been featured on Fox News, NBC, ABC, A&E, CBS, all of these different shows, Ask the Experts, Bravo, and E! News, just to name a few. You may have seen me on some of these different shows. I've been on nighttime shows. I've written a couple books. I've shared the stage with Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki. Jack Canfield, actually, we co-authored a book together as well called The Soul of Success Volume 2. I'm one of the authors of that book, and I also wrote another book called The 3 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom. So just a lot of information that I like to share with people so that they can experience the same freedom that I did. And just a little bit of background on my story too. So I was an attorney, pretty miserable. I was working long hours. I passed the bar in California and Hawaii, so I practiced in both locations. First in California, then I moved to Hawaii and took a 40% pay cut and still worked a lot of hours. Not quite as many as I would have if I stayed in LA, but a lot of hours. I knew based on how much I was working, how difficult it was, how stressful it was. If I have any lawyers on, you know what I'm talking about. The stress is crazy. I was also newlywed at the time, and I knew that my husband and I would not have time to have a family if I stayed in that job. So we were looking for a way to basically allow me to become financially free, allow us both to become financially free. But I had $100,000 in student loan debt. So we did a number of different things related to real estate to pay off the student loans and then also become financially free. We had enough passive monthly income to cover all of our living expenses. First, we paid off the debt, and then we did that. And there's a way actually to pay off your debt and create financial freedom at the same time. I didn't know it at the time, so I did it the harder way. And so we did. We had all of our passive income, covered our living expenses, and then some. And then that's when we were able to be free enough that I was able to quit my job and start this business. At the time, we were a franchise that was teaching people how to pay off mortgages quicker. We didn't even have a mortgage at the time, a home mortgage anyway, and we were investors. And so we ended up buying out the company and making it into a wealth coaching company that teaches people how to invest smarter and how to use the income snowball system. That's what we specialize in. So we are financial education and coaching company at Tardus. Once again, I have to say, this is a passion project for me, kind of like Sugo is for Sarah. When I did this, when I started this company, I'm not the type of person that I can just kind of, financial freedom means sit at home or whatever. I have to go out there and do something. And because we were able to do it so quickly, I think it was 2.5 years from start to finish that we were able to become financially free. It wasn't a risk to start this company. And so I was actually able to start this business and not take a paycheck for the first 8 months until we were profitable because I didn't need the money. So if you have a dream of starting a business or you have a dream of doing something that right now you're feeling like I can't do it because I don't have the time freedom or I don't have the assets to eliminate that risk. There was no risk to me. If this business failed, if I started this company and it absolutely bombed, it wouldn't have mattered because we had enough passive income from our investments to cover all of our living expenses. So it wasn't tied up in that, right? Okay. So that's the story. And I'm going to dig into the details of the income snowball in just a minute. Before I do that, let me just explain what we are not, because I want to make this really clear. We're not financial advisors. We're not financial planners, CFPs, RIAs. We do not sell any type of investment whatsoever. So whenever I talk about an investment, I want to make sure that you're clear. We don't get any financial benefit from any investment you ever purchase. We never have, we never will. And the reason behind that is we want to be 100% neutral in whatever it is that you're using for your plan, right? We don't want to be incentivized by anything to push you in a certain direction one way or another. We want to make sure it makes sense. So, that's what we do. We're a financial education and coaching company, and we've been successful at this, and we've helped thousands of people. We're also not the debt snowball, right? This is not the Dave Ramsey debt snowball where, you basically, pay off debts and use extra cash flow and pay off another debt. This is different and in a big way, and I wouldn't have been able to get a patent on it if it was the same thing. So what we teach is we want to show you how to create massive and passive income streams. So The income snowball, I want to give you a visual in just a minute, but it really does make it's a patented system of investing. So this system, it teaches people how to invest and provides tools and strategies. You're going to need a little bit more than that, though. The tools and strategies are great, but you're also going to need some skills, and we provide that too. So our mission is to create a wealth revolution through education and coaching on unique cash flow and investment and unique investment strategies. So alternative investments is what you're going to learn about all week. That's something that Sarah specializes in, and so do the others that are going to be on this webinar, but it's very, very exciting stuff. So let me just give you a few quick stories. Excuse me. This is Kristen Sharon Bartels. And these videos, this is not a video, I'm not going to play it for you, but we do have the videos on our site, on our YouTube channel. So if you ever want to take a look at all of our testimonials, I mean, we have so many, you can find them in different places. But Chris and Sharon Bartels used to live in Hawaii. They now live in Houston, Texas, but they had a construction business. They wanted to get rid of it and not sell it, but they wanted to just shut it down, right? And move closer to Chris's parents. And they were able to achieve their goal. The plan we put together for them was going to achieve this in about 5 years. They were able to do it in 2.5. So what she said, this is Sharon speaking. She said, what Tardus was offering was really, really mind-blowing as far as the opportunities for wealth growth. We got to retire 3 years earlier than we thought we'd be able to, and we're generating $44,000 per month cash flow. Now that's an income snowball, right? 44,000 a month, right? We have clients with, over that. We have clients with 20 something thousand, $15,000 a month, and they've done it in a short period of time. They did it in a couple of years. So, and they were literally dipping their toe in, not really even following all the instructions at first, but once they saw it working, they really, went full in. So it was great. Dr. Takeda Wong, Dr. Catherine, she is a doctor who became pregnant with her first child, her and her husband, and she was like, how am I going to do this? I don't know how I can afford to take time off of her practice. She's the sole doctor in her practice. So she said, I own my own practice. In 8 months, I was able to accumulate enough money to keep her business running and support her family for maternity leave. Her son is 1.5 years old now, and she probably wouldn't have him if it wasn't for Tardus. When I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, because that means a lot to me because, like I said, in the beginning, when I was an attorney, I was thinking about my family and I was thinking about how am I going to have children when I don't have time, right? I'm working so hard, I'm working so many hours that I'm not going to have time to care for a family. And so that was a big, big change for me. Stephen and Carlos. Stephen owned a vacation rental business, a luxury vacation rental business here in Hawaii. And he was forced to close it during COVID, right? Like he was not able to accept any new customers or clients. But, these are very expensive rental properties, and some were, $12 million, $15 million properties he had to pay mortgages on and things. He was able to rely on Tardus generated cash flow and income to cover his expenses during that time. If it wasn't for the Tardus team and his individual coaching, he'd be in a bad place and most likely be tapping into retirement funds. Again, these are all testimonials you can find like on our website, our YouTube channel, Google, all of that. And there's a lot more. All right, so let's dig in. Okay, so let's start with some fundamentals. I'm going to teach you step by step the basics of how the income snowball works, and everybody's situation will be a little bit different, but I'm going to share with you some more advanced investments that you can use and some advanced strategies you can use to really take this to the next level. So we start with the basics of the income snowball, and then I'll show you how to layer on some pretty cool investments with this system. So financial freedom is when your passive income covers your living expenses. That is our definition of financial freedom. Now, you might have a different definition, but just so that you understand what I'm talking about when I go through this, we need to have the same definition. We need to be working from the same blueprint. So financial freedom, passive income covers your living expenses. That's when work becomes optional, or when you're able to achieve those things that you want, pay for your kids' private school education, buy your dream home, get that second home, travel, do whatever it is that you want. So our definition of a true asset is investing for income, right? So assets create monthly income. And predictable passive monthly income is what creates freedom, right? We just talked about that. There's a big difference between asset and liabilities. We have the same definition as Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Asset liabilities are when you use your money to buy something that's taking money out of your bank account each month. An asset puts money into your bank account. So now let's go back to the gentleman with the 44 rental units, right? I'm sure they were assets at first because they were putting money in his bank account, but then when more than half of his renters weren't paying during COVID, it kind of became a liability for a time, right? For maybe, I think it was 8 or 9 months, he had no rental income coming in from over half of his units, but he had to cover those payments. He was actually negative cash flow. So his assets were pulling money out of his bank account each month, not covering all of his expenses. So he was losing money on that. So important that we distinguish the difference, because what you purchase and the type of investments you make to start the income snowball are critical to making this work the way you want it to. Okay, growing your income snowball is like building a fire. So I'm going to give you a couple of different examples here. Move this here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but all right, my little picture, I'm just moving it so that I can see better. All right, so I want you to think of it like this. So you can see the snowball, right? It's like taking a small snowball, rolling it down a hill, and it picks up more snow as it goes, and then it grows, right? I've actually never done this. I'm from Hawaii. I've been in snow, but I've never actually done this. So I don't know if it's true or not. But imagine that it does, that it picks up more snow as it rolls down the hill and it grows. That's how the income snowball works. It picks up more money, more income as it goes, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Another analogy to think of it is like building a fire. And so I want to kind of share with you how that works. So fast burning fuel, there's two types of fuel to building a fire. When you're first building a fire, you're going to use small light shavings or shreds of material that will catch fire quickly to start the fire, right? To get it going. And that burns very quickly. But then once that happens, what you're going to want to do is add slow burning fuel. So once the fire is large enough and stable enough to light the bigger pieces, you're going to slowly add firewood, right? So that is how the income snowball works, right? Most people, when they're using the traditional systems of investing, they're only using slow burning fuel, or maybe they're using fast burning fuel, but they're using it in the wrong vehicle. So it doesn't work the way that I'm going to share with you. So we want to use the right system and the right fuel at the right time. So when you're evaluating assets for the income snowball, there's two types. The fast burning fuel, and I'll explain to you what the criteria is, or the definition. Fast burning fuel has predictable monthly installments. So we're looking at generally fixed payments on those things, and they're usually amortized over a short period of time, maybe 2 to 5 years, could be a little bit longer, could be 7 or something, but they're shorter. So if you think about it, for those of you who are real estate investors, you'll totally get this. Let me ask you a question. If you own a rental and you have a mortgage attached to that rental unit, are you going to typically get a shorter mortgage, like a 15-year mortgage, or would you get a 30-year mortgage? Right? You would typically get a longer mortgage. And the reason you would do that is because you want your cash flow, right? You want the payments to be smaller on the mortgage so that you have a positive cash flow on your rental. Now we're going to do the opposite for the income snowball, right? We want shorter, because we want shorter amortization for fast burning, because we want the payments to be huge. The shorter the term, or the shorter that those payments are amortized, you're getting principal and interest. The shorter that happens, the bigger the payments are. Now, again, most of that would be principal, and a smaller amount would be interest, and it's reversed when you have longer term, right? When we have a 30-year mortgage or a 30-year amortization, you have big interest up front, small principal. You want it opposite. Now, that might sound counterintuitive, but it's not. As long as the interest rate that you're getting on the investment is decent, 8%, 9%, I'll show you. If you get a decent interest rate on your fast burning fuel, then, or even 6%, 6% is a little bit, but you can get 8% or more, even if you're getting principal and interest, and mostly principal back, that's going to be a high cash on cash return. So think about it. If you have a $10,000 investment and you invest it over 3 years, you're getting about 33% of that money back each year, right? Because it's only for 3 years. You're getting principal and interest payments. That's a 33% cash on cash return for a 3-year investment. 2 years, it's almost like 50%, right? If it's longer, if it's 5 years, it's going to be, 20%, so on and so forth. So high cash on cash return is very important for fast burning fuel, and you'll see why in a minute. Slow burning fuel, you're getting same predictable monthly installments, but it's amortized over a longer term. That's like rental properties, right? That could be forever. You could be getting the income for a really long time, or maybe a mortgage note, a 20-year or 30-year mortgage note that you're getting. That's another example of slow burning fuel. Some examples of fast burning fuel would be, prosper.com, right? Another one would be ground floor. I mean, there's lots of different examples. There are companies that have actually created fast burning fuel products for the income snowball. So there's lots out there. And so you're going to want to know exactly what to do. Good cash on cash return is anywhere from 8 to 20% for slow burning fuel. But again, what you want to do is learn how to reduce your risk. And we do have a short course on that, a mini course on how to do that as well. Okay, so let's go into this real quick. So the first component is fast burning and slow burning fuel to the income snowball. The second component is leverage. Leverage, as we know, increases your investment buying power. What's happening right now with our dollar? It's worth less money right now. Not worthless, but it's worth less, right? It's worth less than it was like 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? So what we want to do is increase our investment buying power since we have less cash to invest. Okay, so leverage, when used properly and safely, can actually do wonders for your investing. That's the key. Done properly and safely. So I'm going to give you a quick illustration. This is very simple. I think most of you really understand leverage, but just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to go over this really quickly. So let's say that you go to Costco and you own a convenience store, and you're going to go to Costco and buy a box of Snickers for $15. And there are 30 Snickers bars in that box of Snickers that you're buying. You pay cash, $15. You go and sell your Snickers bars for $1 each, right? So you're going to actually get $30 in profit. Well, not profit. You're going to get $30 from the sale of the Snickers bars, but you have to pay yourself what you paid for them, the $15. So you're going to make a $15 profit. But what if instead of using your cash to buy it, right? And this is something you can sell your Snickers bars. You take a credit card and you buy 2 boxes of Snickers bars for $30. So that's 60 candy bars that you're going to sell for $1 each. Maybe you pay, if it takes you 2 months to sell it, maybe you pay a couple bucks of interest on the credit card, and you have to pay that $30 back. You're going to have like a $28 profit on that, right? You got to pay the $30 off the credit card plus the $2. So you're going to have like a $28 profit, and you didn't use any of your own cash. Your $15 is still in the bank. You can use it for something else. That's the point of leverage, right? When you know that you can purchase something that's going to create predictable monthly income for a time certain, right? May not be exactly the same every month, could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but or in some cases it is exactly the same amount every month, depending on the investment you make, right? Then you're reducing your risk of using the leverage in the first place, right? Okay. Now let's put this all together so you understand how the income snowball works. So the income snowball uses the leverage that you pay back with a combination of your personal monthly cash flow and investment income, right? You decide how much personal cash flow you want to contribute to your income snowball. And then you use that investment income, which is a huge dollar amount, right? It's a huge amount of money. So think about this. I want you to think this through. You're using leverage. So other people's money, OPM, you're using a little bit of leverage. The amount of leverage is important too, right? The amount and when you use it, what you're buying, all of those things matter, but we're just going to keep this really simple, not go into any of those details yet, just so you get the concept. You use the leverage to purchase the asset. So it wasn't any of your money, just like this is Snickers, the second Snickers example we used. Use the leverage, buy the investment. You're going to use the monthly payments from that investment plus the cash flow to pay off the leverage. And then once leverage is paid off, you make the next investment, and that produces a stacking effect. So you stack, pay it off, and you do it again. And this is why, right? Why do you use leverage in the first place? To increase your buying power. If you could invest 10,000, if that's what you had in savings, and you could invest that, but you could invest 30 using leverage, why wouldn't you buy the 30 and use the 10 for something else? So that's really the key here is, and the reason we use leverage is to increase the buying power, plus the income that you're getting, the principal that's returned was not your money to begin with. So you're using the other people's money to buy the investment, to buy a large amount of it, to get large payments back and use it to buy more investments again. Okay. So we create this momentum and we're stacking the income. And so it's a system of investing in assets that produce that income. And by doing this regularly, you create a stacking effect. So let's say that you take a $10,000 investment, you purchase it, maybe you're getting between 8 and 10% on that investment, say 10%, and it's $320 a month for 3 years. Now what happens is you're getting $320 in January, February, March, April, and then you've paid it off because you've got an extra $1,000 or $1,500 you're putting in as well of your own cash. So you pay that down, and now you do the next investment. So because these investments they last for 3 years, you're still getting those first payments, right? This is the first investment. The second investment, now you're getting $320 for a total of $640. And because you have twice as much income, $640 coming in from your investments, plus your original, $1,500, $2,000, whatever you're putting in, now it only takes you 3 months to pay off that $10,000 investment, and so on and so forth. The next time it's even faster, $960 you're getting each month from 3 investments that you've made. And then you make a fourth. So in this example, you're doing 4 investments in 1 year, coming into $1,280 in monthly income, right away. And you're using that income in addition to the cash flow you started with. If you've put in $1,500 a month, you're not increasing that. You don't have to put more in. You don't have to use your savings. You have to use your 401k. You don't have to tap into your retirement funds. You don't have to use your IRA. You can actually do this income snowball inside your IRA as well, but you don't have to tap into any of that. A little bit of cash flow, a little bit of leverage will make this thing work, and it's pretty awesome. So it really is an asset accelerator, right? Cash flow fuels the income snowball, so it starts it, right? You need a little bit of your own cash flow. You need that leverage. You purchase the fast-burning fuel. So the income snowball buys the fast-burning fuel assets, and then the fast-burning fuel assets buy the slow-burning fuel assets. I want you to think this through. The Bartels had $44,000 a month coming in, right? In 2 years, 2 years doing this, they had $44,000 a month. Think about how many rental units they could buy with $44,000 a month. That $44,000 a month was coming from fast burning fuel. Think about how many, for cash rental units they could buy, generating that kind of income, right? So, and that's part of what they did. They did end up buying 15 rental units, and they also had a lot of fast burning fuel. So they had both. So the assets generate more cash flow, and then the cash flow fuels the income snowball more. And you're able to increase your buying power, keep increasing it, the leverage, and then continue to reinvest. Knowing what to invest in, whether it will work, knowing when to invest, how much leverage to use, and so on and so forth, and how much to increase it by over time. All of that's taken care of with the calculator and our coaches. But here's the thing. There's a big difference between skills and tools. I'm going to give you this quick illustration. I'm going to wrap this up because I know I'm running out of time. My husband is a big time golfer, right? He loves golfing. Okay. He's not a pro by any means, but he's pretty good, right? And he's been golfing with a group of friends for years. I used to call them the golf mafia. One of them was our neighbor, another couple friends, and they would go 2-3 times a month on the weekends golfing, all the time. So he's either surfing or golfing, right? So he was golfing, and one of the guys in his golfing group, it was crazy. It seemed like every month he would go golfing with them. He wasn't happy with his performance. He would come back and he would buy a new set of clubs. He'd buy a new driver or a new putter or a new chip. He would just buy different golf clubs, thinking that this new golf club or these new sets of balls would actually help him to win. He would not win, but help him have a better score. So Every time he changed clubs or he got a new set of golf balls, he was the same. Sometimes it was actually worse, right? I think sometimes he was looking for golf clubs that were similar to what Tiger Woods was using. But the question is this: do you think that Tiger Woods is as good of a, a pro, or became as good of a pro because because of his golf clubs or because of his golf balls? Or do you think that it was the training they received? Do you think it was the skills that he developed over the years, right? His dad pushed him when he was a kid. He learned all the skills. He learned how do I avoid the sand traps, right? What do I do to make sure that when I hit the golf ball, I avoid the water or not hitting it into the trees? How do I make sure that it makes it to the green? If the wind is pointing is going in a different direction, how should I hit the ball? Those are the skills that the pros know that the amateurs do not, and that's what makes them better at what they do. If you want to become a better investor, you got to also get the skills. The tools can only take you so far. Everyone has access to the same tools, but not everyone gets the same results, right? Everyone can have Tiger Woods golf clubs, and I guarantee you they will not be able to play like him, right? Or whatever pro that you want to put out there as far as this. So skills and tools make a huge difference. You can look at that same analogy when it comes to construction. If you're no good with construction, I'm sure I could give you a hammer and some nails and all the equipment and you wouldn't know how to use it. It's really a matter of getting personalized instruction for your specific situation, right? This is not cookie cutter, but I am giving you the basics of how it works. So I hope you understand that. Now, I'm going to show you, you can use Income Snowball to lessen your tax burden due to the return of principal of fast burning fuel. So I'm going to give you a few of the examples I gave you in the front and the beginning of how the Income Snowball can help you do all of those things. So this is an example. This is somebody who starts their Income Snowball in 2022 and they're able to retire 8 years later in 2030, January 1st, 2030. And all they need is about $3,500 a month. And so they're able to withdraw that, but the total monthly income is $22,000. So the extra cash flow, right, beyond what they need to retire is about $18,000 a month that keeps going back into their snowball to continue to grow it, right? So they have no more, they're not putting any more money into this. Their $2,500 is the cash flow that they decided they're going to put in per month. No more investment commitment as of January 2030. And they're generating $22,000 a month in income, and they're able to pull out $3,500 and keep their snowball continuing to grow. Okay. Here's what's amazing about that, right? They're producing $22,000 a monthly income, but in this particular situation, based on the interest rate and the amortization, the term of the investment that they're using, only $2,100 of the $22,000 is taxable as interest income. The rest of it is considered return of principal. And it wasn't even their money to begin with. It was the bank's money that they were using to generate the $22,000 a month. And they'd be spending $3,500 a month of that, and only $2,100 is considered interest or taxable. So that's one thing. That's one example of how you can lessen your tax burden using fast burning fuel. And not all fast burning fuel works like that. Some of it is taxable as capital gains, depending on the type of fast burning fuel you're using. But again, all of this is taught to you in videos and one-on-one instruction with a coach, as well as group coaching sessions every single week. Now, you can also use Income Snowball to buy tax advantage assets like oil and gas. So I know, Sarah and I did a webinar before where she was showing an oil and gas investment that had a great tax advantage to it. You could write off, I think it was 75% in the first year, and it also produced monthly income for a certain period of time. So someone without the oil and gas, right, in this example, was able to retire in 2029. And I believe they started, this was maybe 2023, so that was 6 years. But we're looking a year and a half earlier just by adding this particular asset. So now you have more cash flow, right? Your taxable income is reduced. So that means that you pay less in taxes. That means you have more cash flow to put into the snowball. It was an extra $1,500 a month that was able to go into their Income Snowball and basically allowed them to become financially free a year and a half earlier. So that's huge. Okay. Now let's take a look at how you can use it to buy slow burning fuel like rental properties or income funds or REITs or mortgages, right? We own mortgages. We own a lot of different types of assets. The before and after, and this is somebody starting in this year, 2024, they're able to retire in 8 years in 2032, financial freedom date. But then when you buy 10 rentals, right? This is where fast burning fuel can help you buy 10 rentals. This is so interesting. With fast burning fuel only, you need a huge cash flow, right? $57,000 a month, but it doesn't take that long, 8 years to achieve this. And they're drawing $3,700 a month. With the 10 rentals, what we're doing is we're actually buying the rentals. Your income snowballs buying the rentals for you. So you're not actually having to save up money and like put down payments on. It's actually buying it for you. And with 10 rentals, they're able to draw $11,898 a month out of a total of only 14,000. So the amount that you need is so much less, obviously, when you add in the slow burning fuel. And so they're able to have all of these rental properties reduce the risk because, you know, some of them will be paid off, some of them won't be paid off, but you have so much additional income coming in to cover the mortgage. If you don't have it, you're able to reduce that risk as well. Okay. All right. So is Tardus coaching right for you? I have no idea, but I can tell you that it doesn't hurt to find out. And this is, you know, the freebie that we're offering. And actually it's a series of different things that we're offering. One of them is a free strategy session to see if this is right for you. But I'll just give you some examples. If you fit into this, then definitely you should look into this. So if you're looking for predictable monthly income, if you're an investor who wants more investments with less risk, if you want to be able to buy more, and by the way, the type of revolving line of credit you can use is also life insurance, right? We have a lot of clients that are using their cash value from their life insurance policies to do this, and it works phenomenally well as well. So investors who want more investments with less risk, that's amazing. Investors who want to increase income, reduce taxes, you know, you can buy tax advantage investments, reduce your taxes through fast burning fuel, lots of other things, but have a lot more income. If you want to develop multiple income streams from various asset classes, that too is something why you should be looking at this if that's something that interests you, or if you want steady income growth despite market conditions, right? That your income is going to stack, it's going to grow. You can see exactly when the fluctuations in the income, the screenshots that I was showing you were from the income snowball calculator. And if you want a strategy session, we're going to offer it to all the attendees of this webinar. You can get one of those as well, but we're going to sweeten it just a little bit, you know, for one person actually. So a complimentary strategy session is what we're going to offer with a wealth coach. It includes your own personalized plan, right? So you'll get a plan. It'll show you what your financial freedom date is or whatever you're trying to achieve. You get a demo of the income snowball calculator, no obligation. Just go to that website so that you can schedule it. But let me tell you something. When I did a webinar with Sarah a while back, what I did was I offered to personally review their strategy and do a video for like, I don't know, I don't remember how many people it was, maybe 20, 15, 10, I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot of work for me. So I can't do that. Sorry, not going to do that. But the first 50 attendees to request a strategy session will be entered into a drawing to win a personal video review by me and a scholarship as well. So those are some things that we will do for the first 50 people. I think we had 300 people request a strategy session the last time. So just the first 50 will enter into a drawing for one person, and you will get a video by me. I will review your strategy, come with a plan, right? We're going to do a deep dive. We've got to know exactly what you're trying to do, the different investments you want to use, and then we will share with you other types of investments that can work with it. You can decide if those are things that you want to use or whatnot. Again, we get nothing out of it. We don't care what you use as long as it works. And so we can help you with that as well. But anyway, so that's really what I want to share with you guys today. And I hope you'll stay for the Q&A in a little bit later today. But just go to tardus.com/coaching for the freebie. And we've got some more goodies to give to you too. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanisha. And Cynthia, if you could put that link in the chat, that way people can just click it, that would be awesome. And I want to let you guys know who are on here. Over 2,000 people signed up for this event. So if you would like to do that, 50, the first 50 requests, it sounds like a big number, but it's a really small percent of the number of you who are on here. But yeah, people love working with Tardus. I want to answer one question because I saw it a lot in the chat. People are asking, but do you recommend or kind of do due diligence on a handful of investments? And I'll answer that because there's a community that is created. And so you could see in the chat, people were already talking who are Tardus clients, like, I'm working with this investment group and I'm working with this investment group, and this is how it's working out for me. So there's a community that you can talk to. And so they don't, say you must invest in these things, but there is a community that shares what's working for this strategy, for the snowball. So know that there is some peer support around that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I just saw a ton of questions around that. So the rest of them, we'll stick to them. We'll get to them in the Q&A that will be at about 40 minutes from now. And so we will see you there, Tanisha. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have Kaaren Hall. You hear Kaaren? There we are. All right, so you guys, at the beginning, remember I said, I know it's going to be a great event because we've worked with all of these speakers before. So every time, Sugo Capital, I didn't really say much about myself, Kaaren. I gave my story personally, but not about Sugo Capital. So we're an investment firm. We offer passive investments to investors. So every time we have an offering and investors want to use their retirement funds to invest in a Sugo Capital investment, we're like, uDirect IRA. They're the fastest. People have such great things to say about the company and the service, the speed of service. It's not an arm and a leg to work with uDirect. So we always have Kaaren back because we always hear such great things from our clients about her company. So that's and again, there's no referral fees involved. It's just we all want great things for our clients, and that's why we do stuff together. So if you're thinking, hey, I want to do all this stuff, and so what Tanisha's doing is real time. You don't want to do any of the income snowball stuff. Well, I shouldn't say this, but it's not really meant to be in your retirement account for later. It's really meant for now. Now we're switching gears to if you're thinking about later, after you retire, you like staying at your W-2 job, but you have a bunch of money in your retirement account, so you're not sure how much to put in because you don't know what to do with it. How does this all work? There's a lot that you can do, and everything, for instance, everything at Sugo Capital that we offer, you can use a self-directed IRA or a solo 401k to invest in it. So it's really powerful. About half of the money that comes into Sugo Capital from investors is from self-directed IRAs or solo 401ks. So know that hundreds and hundreds of people are investing with Sugo Capital using the structure that Kaaren's going to talk about. And so especially if you go back, you may already be talking about this, Kaaren, but I'm going to give everyone homework tonight to go look at your 401ks and your IRAs and see what they're doing. I give that piece of homework because a lot of people go and they go, oh, guess what? It's just sitting in cash for the last 10 years. And it's oh my gosh, with inflation, you're losing money. And it's because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so I want to encourage you all to take what you learned today, activate it. And the first step would be go look at your current accounts that you have. How much is in there and what are they doing? And if they're not performing as strong as some of the things that Kaaren's going to talk about, or some of the things that we're going to talk about over the next 2 days, then it's a great opportunity for you to work with uDirect in order to roll over your accounts. It's not taxable, and put that money to work in a way that you feel comfortable with and that you feel confident. So that's my introduction to Kaaren and uDirect, and we love working with you guys. So I'll pass it over to you, Kaaren. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Sarah, thanks so much. I can't believe how many people are taking part in this event, and just kudos to you for just doing such an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
So, as Sarah said, my name is Kaaren Hall, and I'm the CEO and founder of uDirect IRA Services. And just as Sarah said, what we're going to talk to you about is saving money for later. That's what retirement accounts are for, and they do a great job of it. And this is a great way to really do an awesome favor for your future self. You know, you've got to plan ahead too, and this is a great way to do it. So I'll be talking about that, and also how to use IRAs and solo 401ks to tap into them for your own deals. If you've got a deal and you're raising capital for your deal, this is when retirement accounts can also give you benefit today for your deals. Okay, so let's just move on forward here. Assuming that works. There we go. So a little bit about me. I've been in real estate for a very long time. I've been a property manager, a realtor for a short while. I was in mortgage loan servicing, loan origination. What else? I'm a real estate investor. I've had several rental properties. I have some now. And I've been 16, 17 years in the self-directed IRA industry. And I've had real estate licenses in California and Texas and Washington State. I've had a life and health license. I've got a couple of certifications for self-directed IRAs, the SDIP and the CISP. So, and I also sit on the board of directors for the Retirement Industry Trust Association. That is one of the things I love the most because it gives me access to things that are happening right now in the industry. So just a little bit about who I am. And my first career, though, I was a radio announcer. So I did radio announcing, and that's perfect because it falls right into everything that I do on the podcast and public speaking. So I did a little, like light rock, let's talk, like, that sort of thing. So everything that I've done in my past was the perfect combination to open a self-directed IRA company because I really understood the underlying assets and I had all the other skills. And I still do. All right. So we mentioned that there's a lot of money in US retirement, pretty close to $40 trillion, an enormous amount of money. A lot of that money is in IRAs already. Some of the money is in current 401ks, 403bs, 457s. Those plans with a 4 before them, they are employer plans and defined benefit plans and all different other kinds. But these accounts can be used to fund your deals. And that's what you'll know how to do by the time we're done here. So the problem that you solve as somebody raising capital, if that's what you're doing, is that retirement accounts in general are just dangerously low. People don't have enough money to retire in the US. So the next time you've got a project, like maybe you're doing, I don't know, maybe you're raising capital, maybe you've got a syndication, maybe you're just flipping a house and you need an extra 20 grand for the kitchen, you can tap into someone's IRA, self-directed IRA or 401k. They probably don't even know that they can help you do that. Or say, for example, too, maybe you're starting a business and you need some capital for your business. You can use other people's money. Other people's self-directed retirement accounts can partner with you as a debt or equity partner in your new business to give you the seed capital, to get you off the ground. So tremendously powerful tool. So if you're listening and you have not heard about self-directed retirement, believe me, you're not alone because a lot of people don't know about it, even attorneys and CPAs, which I find very surprising. But these rules have been around for just under 50 years. It is nothing new, okay? So it's not something that just showed up. It's been around for a very long time. So the difference between a typical retirement account and a self-directed retirement account is really the assets that the retirement account holds. So you think of a retirement account like an IRA is kind of like a bucket, right? Assets go in that bucket. So if you're working with a financial advisor, they're only licensed to help you with the typical sorts of investments, mutual funds, index funds, maybe a CD or something like that. When it's self-directed, though, the doors open wide, and now your retirement savings can invest in assets you can touch that we just love, like real estate. We love precious metals, all these different kinds of things, and also assets you can't touch, like cryptocurrency and that sort of thing. So your IRA can be the bank and lend money. You can invest in performing and non-performing debt, where you acquire the right to collect those debt payments at a discount and then collect the payments, and your account makes money. Commercial real estate, syndications, multifamily, we've got self-storage, mobile home parks, all different kinds of things can go into a self-directed retirement. This is when you're the account holder and you're investing. So when it comes to these self-directed IRAs, about 50 years ago, that's when Gerald Ford, who was the president then, signed the ERISA rules, the Employment Retirement Income Security Act that created IRAs. So that's how long these have been around. And at that time and ever since, the IRS has only said that the limits are that you can invest in insurance contracts and collectibles, right? So no artwork or no coin collections or wine collections or anything like that, or life insurance policies. Every other asset is okay with the IRS, but is it okay with the custodian? So if you've got an asset class that's a little unique, the best thing to do is call your custodian and say, this is the asset class I want to invest in. Do you custody these assets? And that's a good starting point for a conversation. We're going to talk about IRA rules because the self-directed game is a game of keep away. You know, you got to keep away from prohibited transactions. So we want you to win this game. You want to win this game, I know. So the way you do that is to know the rules. Okay, so part of the rules are written in the Internal Revenue Code, IRC 4975. And those rules are called prohibited transactions. If you want to go to the rule book, there it is, but we're going to cover it a little bit right now. So what's disallowed is, first off, borrowing money from an IRA. Your IRA, like a 401k or an employer plan, you can borrow $50,000 or 50%, whichever's less. You can borrow from those accounts, but IRAs, you can't borrow from them. I mean, you can take money and hold it for 60 days before putting it in another retirement account before it becomes taxable, but you can only do that once every 12 months. So it's not a loan. You're not signing a loan document and that sort of thing. So it's just, you can have the money in an IRA. So you don't sell any property you already own to a retirement account. This is a question I get all the time. Hey, I've got some rental properties. Can I put them in a self-directed IRA? The answer is no, because you are disallowed to your IRA. And so your IRA cannot buy assets that you own. That would be called, what we're going to discover and go into, it would be called a prohibited transaction. And you do not want to commit one of those. We don't see them very often because we do, review the investments. We do talk to people and try to avoid this. Now, of course, you don't use an IRA as security for a loan. When you go to get a mortgage, you probably put it on the 1003, the mortgage application, but it's not security. It's not, if you don't pay, then we're going to take your IRA. So it's never security for a loan. And you never use it to buy property for personal use. So your retirement account doesn't buy a house that you're going to live in. Your retirement account does not buy a vacation home that you're going to stay in. In fact, when your IRA buys a non-owner occupied property, you're not supposed to even stay in there for one day or have any personal use. So no personal use of IRA assets. Good to know some of the rules. But again, keep away from these prohibited transactions. And if you don't keep away from prohibited transactions and the IRS knocks on your door and says you've committed one, you get a letter or something, you find out. And by the way, that's pretty rare, I'll just say. But if that does happen, then it's game over for the IRA and it becomes taxable to you. The tax protected bubble of that IRA bursts if a prohibited transaction occurs. So super easy to avoid these. Most people never, don't commit them, but just know it, know it so that you're safe and you just stay. So neither you nor any disqualified people can benefit from the IRA today. And disqualified people, those are your ascendants and descendants. So your parents and grandparents, you and your spouse, your children and your grandchildren, disallowed to the IRA, they are disqualified people. So your IRA, for example, would not make a loan to a child to go to school. That is your IRA giving personal benefit to a disallowed person. It's a prohibited transaction, you see. Now, you're also not going to buy, sell, or exchange assets between the plan and a disqualified person. So your IRA doesn't buy a property from your parents. Your IRA doesn't sell a house to you or to your kids, for example, okay? This third prohibited transaction is the most common, though, I think, is that disallowed people, okay, ascendants and descendants, plus a fiduciary, like your CPA or your attorney or your realtor, or a 50-50 business partner, they're also disallowed. They can't provide services to the plan. I was just speaking in Orlando last week, and I kept getting asked the same question. Hey, I'm a GC. I've got a syndication. Can my retirement account invest in the deal that I've got? And the answer is no, because you're a disqualified person. You're disallowed to your own IRA. You can't personally benefit. And as the GC, you would be getting paid for this, this arrangement, this asset that you're building, this investment opportunity. So that would be a prohibited transaction. Just steer clear of them. And I want to tell you that if you are curious and you think, wow, is my deal prohibited? Super easy. You can go to our website and sign up for a consultation. We give you a free 20-minute consultation, and we'll chat about your deal to see if we hear a prohibited transaction. Retirement can be a reward for saving and investing, or it can be a punishment for not doing so. So where it is super important to be working on your income for today, it's equally as important to be saving for it for tomorrow, because you're going to get there, God willing, you're going to get there. So again, be your best friend and contribute to your retirement account. Pay yourself, not the IRS, because maybe you're going to get a tax break. Myself, I got an enormous tax break because my company has a defined benefit plan that we put money into that gave us a tremendous tax break for saving for the future. And you might find when you talk to your tax person that, the same thing is, that you're also eligible for that exact same thing. So coming from a commercial, not commercial, but residential real estate background and being a loan officer, I was really surprised when I learned that a bank would actually make a loan, not to a person, but to an IRA account. Okay, so IRAs, when you go to invest in real estate, you don't go to the bank and get a Freddie Fannie kind of a loan. It's not like that. Your IRA takes on what's called a non-recourse loan. So what that means is that if your IRA were to default on the loan, the lender can only come against the subject property. That's great news, because they're not going to come after you personally, and they're not going to come after any of the assets that are in your retirement account, any other assets other than the subject. So it's called a non-recourse loan. More skin in the game is needed from the IRA than would be needed if you were going to buy a personal, property for yourself to live in. So they're going to look for a lot more down, maybe like 50% IRA money, 50% borrowed money, this non-recourse loan. So there you go. Now, there are not a lot of these non-recourse lenders to choose from. But if you would like a list that we've put together, not because we endorse these people, but just as a convenience, so you know who to quickly call and ask, we will give you that list if you just email me at info@uDirectIRA.com. We'll send you the list of non-recourse lenders, because again, they're going to want a lot more money in the game, and you maybe need this kind of a loan. And of course, again, you cannot personally guarantee a loan to your IRA because you would be offering services to the plan. It would be a prohibited transaction. Okay. That said, yay, my IRA can borrow money. Well, hey, guess what? Little catch, you got to know this one. Really important if you're IRA investing. This is a very important slide for you, because it's possible that your IRA can get taxed. And you're thinking, what? I thought an IRA was a tax protected vehicle. It is income tax protected. But there are two taxes that are not income tax. There's UBIT and UDFI. Now, if you want to read about these two taxes, you can go to the IRS's website. It's irs.gov, and look up Pub 598 and talk to your tax person. Understand this before you pull the trigger, right? So when your IRA borrows money for a deal, the percentage of profit that the IRA earns because of leverage is subject to this tax. You need to know that. Also, it's not just maybe if you're buying a single family home or something and you take on a non-recourse loan. It's also if you invest in a syndication and that asset sponsor is, part of their capital stack includes borrowed money, includes leverage. Then that syndication deal that your IRA is an equity partner of, that can also pass this tax to you, and you might not know it. So now you do. That's super important. And again, we're here to discuss it with you and flesh out all your questions. Now, there's like a twin tax here, and this is called UBIT, unrelated business income tax. So it's income that's not related to being a retirement account, right? UBIT. And one of the things is, for example, if your IRA were to buy a franchise or a business and it's an active running business, sometimes if you're flipping a lot of properties, that's active income, and that can lead to UBIT. So this is something to discuss with your competent tax advisor. And if they don't know what these taxes are, if they don't know what a 990T is, probably a good idea to find a different competent tax advisor so that you have somebody that can work with you as an investor and really be able to serve your needs. So it's super important to know that when an IRA or a solo 401k, and you can also self-direct an HSA, a health savings account, when these accounts invest in assets and those assets have expenses, those expenses must be paid for by the IRA. So an example, lately, a lot of syndications are having to like re-up their debt. They may have debt that had an adjustable rate, and that has matured, and now they have to take on new debt at a higher rate. So we're seeing a lot of capital calls. That is an expense of an IRA-owned asset, one example. Another example might be your IRA owns a house that needs a new roof. These kinds of expenses have to be paid for by the IRA, but what if? What if you don't have enough money in your retirement account to cover those? So here's a couple of things you can do, right? You can contribute to your account. The amount of contribution is capped. All these have caps. So it depends upon your age, your income, and your account type. Great conversation, again, to have with your tax advisor for lots of reasons, so that you get the accurate answer for you, and also so that they know to write it off on your income tax return. You can liquidate other assets within the retirement account, transfer money from a current IRA or current, or a previous employer plan, move that over. Or you could take on a loan or get a debt partner, or just sell the asset if it all else fits. So there are ways to make up for a shortfall of cash in the IRA. But this is one of the reasons that it's just extremely important to leave cash in your IRA for just these occasions, when your IRA definitely is going to need to cover expenses. So a lot of people buy real estate with the IRA, so I'm going to talk about it here, but understand the process I'm going to go through right now is just the way you get really any other asset into an IRA. We're just going to talk about this. So first off, you open the account and get it funded. That's the most important thing, because your IRA can't invest until you have an IRA. You might find a great deal, but you can't snag it until you have an IRA that's funded. So start there. Remember, the IRA is the buyer. So it's the name of the IRA on title, not your personal, not just your personal names. And if you're partnering, it would be tenants in common. You give us a direction letter, you fill it out, and then once the deal's all put together, we fund it, maybe wire the money to closing, and it records. And now here come your rent checks, right? They're made payable to the IRA account, not to you personally. If you ever receive proceeds from an IRA investment made to you personally, do not cash that check. That is you receiving personal benefit from your IRA. That could be a prohibited transaction. So if you get a check from an IRA-owned asset, you return it to the asset sponsor and tell them to remake that check to the correct payee. Super, super important. So we're going to talk about an exception to the prohibited transaction rules, okay? Because this might help you in putting together your own deals. There are times when disallowed people can, invest together, as long as they do so concurrent, so their names record concurrently on title. Here's an example. We've got a father and a son, right? And they're going to invest in a property together. So dad has cash, the son has a traditional IRA, so they're going to invest on title at the same time as tenants in common. That's how it's going to be invested. And right, didn't I just say they're disqualified to each other? Yeah, they are, but it's an exception, because as long as neither one of them had any ownership interest in the deal, it's okay. It's a new deal and they fund concurrently. That's the loophole. So they could never live in the property. None of their disallowed people, ascendants and descendants, can ever have personal use of the property. That's how that works. Now, after that deal closes, all the proceeds come back into the IRA pro rata, in this case 50-50, but maybe it's 70-30, whatever it might be. And similarly, all expenses are also split pro rata. So here comes a property tax bill. Dad pays his pro rata share out of his cash, or checking account, whatever, and the son's IRA will come in with the other half, its pro rata share. And that's how that's handled. So it is an exception, and you can use that. If you know anything about self-directed IRAs, if you've been around the block for a little while, you've heard of something, colloquially referred to as a checkbook IRA. What it really is an IRA-owned LLC, okay? You won't find this in the tax code. This started based on a case in 1996, Swanson versus Commission. And so basically what happens is an IRA is open and funded, right, has money in it. You have a third party create a special purpose LLC. The reason the third party does it is if you create the LLC, your IRA can't buy an asset you own, right? So it's a third party creates it. The LLC is owned by the IRA, all right? So then there's money in the IRA. IRA buys 100% of the initial units of that LLC. The LLC has the cash and a checking account. Now the IRA is the umbrella and the LLC is under that umbrella of the IRA. The LLC is an asset of the IRA. All right, so that's how that works. And all the same rules apply when an IRA-owned LLC, a checkbook IRA invests. You can't commit prohibited transactions. You don't take the money personally, and that sort of thing. And if you ever want money out of the checkbook IRA, it has to first go back into the IRA account. Then the IRA account withdraws the money, a regular withdrawal, and that's taxable to you. You get a 1099. Okay. So we do talk about self-directed IRAs, and that can mislead people. They'll say, well, is my Roth self-directable? Yes. Self-directed IRA is kind of, again, an umbrella term that refers to all these different kinds of plans. It's a traditional Roth, SEP, simple, even spousal IRA, inherited IRA. They could be sometimes a qualified plan, but definitely a solo 401k can be self-directed, and other plans. uDirect does offer the self-directed HSA, health savings account. It's not very popular. You have to use it just so. We're happy to discuss it with you. But these are all self-directable plans, so that you know. But what if your funds are with your current employer? Now, I alluded to this before. Or what if your investors' funds are with the current employer? They probably won't be able to use that money to invest, to self-direct. But if it's a 401k, what you can do is go to the plan administrator and say, hey, I work here, I'm in service. Does the plan document say that I'm eligible for an in-service transfer? And if that's yes, you can have an in-service transfer. And while you're still working there, have some of the funds from your 401k move over into a self-directed plan. So, you may have to wait until you leave the company to take that money, but you could also look into this kind of a loophole to get that money out of a 401k. Something I don't love to talk about, but this happens. And again, if we're going to talk about self-directing, it's good to have a word of caution in there. This doesn't happen often, but you definitely have to do due diligence. Sarah and I, a few months ago, did a fabulously attended event. So interesting. So many people want to know about how do I do due diligence on my self-directed or just personal deals. There's a lot to it. So you want to make sure you understand these, because if your IRA loses money, you don't get to write off those losses. It's just lost. And it's hard to replenish a loss because you've got, again, these contribution caps. So you want to do your due diligence. You want to make sure that you are checking out the asset sponsor. You're Googling them. You're going to the FINRA website if they're a registered broker dealer, and go to broker check and see if there have been any complaints against them. Type their name in Google with the word fraud after it. If something comes up, that's a red flag. You definitely want to do that. Talk to other people who've invested with the same people that you want to invest. If you're investing in real estate, get a preliminary title report. Do they actually own the property that they're selling to you? That would be great. And so you definitely want to do that. So due diligence is crucial because, again, losses are not replaceable in a retirement account, whether it's self-directed or a typical IRA invested in the stock market. So how do you self-direct? How do you do this magical thing? It's not difficult. 1, 2, 3, open, fund, invest. You go on our website, you open an account, takes a couple of minutes to fill out the form, which is a digital form. You fill it out super easy. While you're going through that process, what you're also doing is completing, if you have an IRA to transfer, you're completing that IRA transfer form as well. And the second step is funding the deal. So you can fund it by contributing. Again, contribution caps, but you can contribute. You can transfer an IRA, or you can roll over a previous employer plan. That's how you get the money in the IRA. So after it's open and funded, then you invest. You choose your deal, you give us the docs, we review them, and assuming there isn't any glaring error, if there is, we'll send it back to you to kind of redraw or something like this, if needs be. And then we will fund the money out. Now you've self-directed. All the proceeds from that asset go back in the IRA, the self-directed IRA that owns asset. And any expenses of that asset must be paid for, have to be paid for by the IRA that owns the asset, not you personally, not your friends, has to be paid for by the IRA. So those are just the real basics of self-directed IRA investing. And so here is a way to get a hold of me. The best way really is to email me at info@ uDirectIRA.com. If you want to get started, there's a QR code. And I'm probably short on time, which might be a good thing, huh, Sarah? But these are the P's and Q's of self-directed investing.
Yeah, that's perfect timing. Perfect.
Awesome. And I guess we're going to have Q&A later.
Jumping straight into Q&A.
Boom, let's All
Yeah,
right.
we can jump straight in. So thank you for that, Kaaren. You guys, I've seen so many people do some really, really fun investments with their IRAs and their solo 401ks. So if this is the first time you've heard about it, keep exploring because it will really open some doors for you to increase, at least what I've seen, really increase the returns you're getting in your retirement accounts instead of leaving them to sit either in cash or with whoever's managing them at, you know, a lot of people are getting single digits, low single digits. So we don't want that to be you. All right. So I think I heard Tanisha, if you're on, no, she didn't jump back on yet, but we'll jump over to Q&A for some of the questions that were for you, Kaaren. So attendees, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. That'll be much easier than chat because the chat has a lot of stuff in it. So we'll look at the Q&A. So that function is just at the bottom of your screen. Okay. I saw some questions about Canadians, Kaaren.
Yes, we
Yeah.
love Canadians, but with us, we don't allow foreign investing. And the reason is because of the FBAR rules. If you've heard of this, it happened a couple of years ago where it's a lot of arduous kind of reporting when money changes, goes across borders. So self-directed IRAs are for American citizens or somebody who has a social security number. But actually buying foreign investments, the way to do this, like some of our account holders do it. For example, there's this investment in Puerto Rico, but it is in an LLC that's an American LLC. Just the underlying asset of that LLC is in a foreign country. So they're investing in an American LLC in a foreign country. So that's one way to do that.
Got it. This is a great question. Can I transfer an existing solo 401k or self-directed IRA to uDirect? Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah, you absolutely can. What we want to do if it's a self-directed account and you have assets in it already, we want to do an asset review so that you're not moving over toxic assets, assets that aren't performing. But absolutely, people do that literally every day, are moving their accounts to us. So that's very common.
Yeah, and one of the most common reasons I see people move to uDirect is the speed of their current custodian. So a lot of people, and I'm not going to say any names of specific custodians, but people who are with custodians that have a certain speed they work, those investors lose out on the opportunities that we present because they go so slow. So just kind of reflect on that. So if you're doing investments and they're private investments that you're doing by yourself, and the speed of getting your IRA company to review docs and whatever it needs to be done doesn't matter, then that's one thing. But if you're going into a private investment that has deadlines of, I need to sign papers and wire money by a certain date, start like day one of when you have all those papers and wire instructions, because it can take a long time. And if you see that consistently the company you're working with is too slow, uDirect is pretty quick. I don't think we've ever had an investor miss an opportunity because uDirect was slow. We've even had them be able to transfer their account from another custodian over to uDirect and get into the investment in time. So that's one of my favorite benefits, features of uDirect is the speed.
Well, I mean, coming from a mortgage background, I mean, especially residential, it has to happen now. Now isn't fast enough. So we try to employ those same kind of, work ethics here.
Yes, awesome. Oh, hi, Tanisha, I see you're back. I'll turn on your camera for you.
Awesome, thank you.
You should be able to. Okay, so when you're talking about IRAs, is this traditional and Roth? Can you have self-directed traditional and self-directed Roth?
You can have as many retirement accounts as you want of any kind, as long as you qualify for it. Sometimes you have to be, for example, self-employed. But yes, you can have a traditional and a Roth account at the same time. But the contribution limit per year is for the traditional and the IRA combined. So I think it's now like $7,000, and that is for the two accounts combined, not 7 and 7, but the two combined. But yes, you can have. There's no limit to how many retirement accounts you can open, just how much you can put in.
All right, a question. This is for me. Is Eddie subject to UBIT? And that's one of our funds that we're offering. It's Forex trading and it's leveraged. So I believe the answer is yes. I don't know who this is because you're signed in as anonymous, but we're going to have a webinar with our CPA for the fund specifically to dive in and talk about the tax consequence of using retirement accounts in this fund so that it can come straight from him. So if you're interested, you put in your reservation and you'll be invited to the webinar with the CPA, because there are so many questions about taxes on that fund and I don't want to get anything wrong. So just be on the lookout. We'll have the CPA answer.
By the way, I'm going to put a contact us link in there. So if somebody wants to, isn't getting their question answered and you want to hit us up with a question, you can hit the contact bar and we'll be happy to answer any question.
I see a lot of questions about fees and stuff and how can we set up. And so I think it's best to go to the website for those questions because there's a lot of different kind of accounts with uDirect. And so you'll have to comb through, decide what kind is right for you and see what the account fees are. And then I see other questions about, what are the steps to set it up? So there's more than one step. So the best place to get started, Kaaren, would that be the link that you just put in the chat?
It would, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to scan through anyone who had those questions. This one, you didn't talk about an HSA, Kaaren. Can uDirect do HSAs?
Yeah, and and I swallowed the wrong way, so.
Oh, so sorry. You're all right.
Yeah, I'll skip my turn for a second.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to scroll back up to where the questions were with you, Tanisha. So again, there's a Canadian cohort here. So someone was asking, do you have any Canadian clients at Tardus? Does this still work for Canadians?
Yes, it does. And we do. And I just saw that one too. So they do want to speak to or hear from the Canadian clients that we do have. So we can do that. That's not a problem. And by the way, Kaaren, I definitely want to talk to you because we have clients that want to do this. The income still outside the IRA. And it sounds like your company would be fantastic. So definitely want to hook up.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love the capital stacking that you're doing. That's really cool. What a great idea.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
You know what? Somebody asked, will Tanisha announce a winner of the one person who won the video review? I don't know who it is, but I believe I have, I don't know if Lindsay's still on, but if she is, she should know who it is. We did have 130 people request strategy sessions and people were having trouble booking. We've opened up more space now. So if you missed it and weren't able to book, like you went on and couldn't get a booking, you should be able to now. So just want to let you know that. But Lindsay, if you're on, could you tell us who the winner of the video review is? And so we'll keep going and then hopefully she'll let us know who it was.
Cool. All right. I'm kind of scanning through because I just don't want to take the time to answer fee questions. Okay, here's one for you, Kaaren. Oh, wait, let's go back to the HSA one. Didn't we?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, an HSA is like the triple threat. The money comes in when you contribute to an HSA, health savings account. It's pre-tax, and so you haven't paid tax on that money yet. In order to have an HSA, though, we should back up a little bit and say you have to have a high deductible health plan where you work. That's the first, qualifier to get you into an HSA. So you have an HDHP where you work, and then you can make these contributions and probably get a tax deduction depending on your income and so forth. Then what you invest in, that growth, that those proceeds grow tax-free. And as long as you can prove and offset any extraction from the account, if you can offset that with medical bills, like, hey, I had a tonsillectomy and it was $20,000. And so I'm taking $20,000 out of my account. Here's the medical bill that offsets that 20 grand. And that's how you show you can take that 20 grand out free, tax free. So it's a real triple threat. Now, if you've got an HSA, a lot of people need them and use them to pay for their medical expenses. So if you're going to use an HSA as a investing vehicle. You just need to take into consideration that you may have all the capital in that HSA into deals and not liquid to pay for your medical bills. But you pay for them out of pocket again, and that will offset any withdrawal later on, and then becomes tax-free.
Cool. Thank you for that. Man, there are it's a ton of questions.
Yeah.
All right. Some people are asking, this is the easy one to answer quickly. You missed some of Tanisha or Kaaren. A recording is going out tonight, so you'll be able to watch it. Someone's asking, is closed captions available? Maybe it was streaming on YouTube, so I think on YouTube you can turn on closed captions. So maybe. Does uDirect work with crypto exchanges?
Yes, we have that on our platform. We use Coinbase, and so your IRA can directly invest into crypto just right on the platform.
Okay. What is the most one can earn annually before retirement account contributions are disallowed?
Yeah, ask your tax person. It's around 400K, around there.
I didn't realize that. Really? If you make more than 400K as a household, you can't contribute to your retirement accounts?
Well, you can contribute, but it won't be tax deductible, if that makes sense. And you still have contribution caps, but it's what I mean to say is it's not tax deductible. You can still contribute.
Got it. Okay. All right. Tanisha, could you speak a bit more to the whole life policy you mentioned? It works really well for the snowball investment. You explain the difference between using leverage on your whole life policy versus some other like external leverage.
Yeah, no, it's great. So it works very similar, almost the same, depending on the insurance company that you're using, how easy it is to get the money in and out. Typically, you'd only be using it once every so often to make that investment and then paying it off with that combination we talked about. But what's nice about it is with most whole life and even some IUL policies as well, when you borrow against it, you can actually increase the cash value over time. And you're going to need that because eventually you're going to need to increase that line of credit. It's going to be a lot easier to do using a life insurance policy because you don't need any credit checks. They don't care about your debt ratios. So as you're growing your life insurance, your cash value, so does the amount of leverage you can use. And that will change over time as you're using this system. So we can tell you exactly how much you're going to need as far as your leverage and when, depending on your specific unique situation. It's beautiful. So we love it. We love life insurance.
I think too, it's so fast to do that.
Yes.
I see people do that for all kinds of investments, even, outside of an income snowball, but just for syndications or, whatever it may be, anything that you can take advantage of the arbitrage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
A question is, do you have investments for non-accredited investors? So Sugo Capital at the moment, everything that we offer is for accredited investors. However, Tardus, Tanisha, they have connections in their ecosystem for investments for non-accredited investors. You don't have to be an accredited investor to work with uDirect and have your IRAs and 401ks work in investments. And then I'm trying to think about the speakers the other days. I think the speakers the other days, any investments that they have are for accredited investors. However, you don't need to be an accredited investor to work with them. So the other speakers are about asset protection, tax, whole life. And so there's no qualification to work with them. So I think that would only apply to me, that we only work with accredited investors at this time. But we're working on getting something together. It just takes a whole heck of a lot of time. We're trying to do a Reg A, which is like a beast. Yeah, I hope that answers that. Okay. Some people are saying, what is an accredited investor and what does Sugo invest in exactly? Good questions. An accredited investor, there's some new regulations. You can qualify a number of ways, but the two main ways are either, and it doesn't have to be both, either you have $1 million or more in net worth, and that's not including your home. So, earlier Tanisha was talking about assets and liabilities. So if you bought a house and you have $1 million of equity in your home, it cannot be used to qualify you as an accredited investor. It has to be $1 million of net worth outside of the home that you live in. So it can be other properties, other investments, stock, retirement funds, all bundled together have to equal $1 million or more. Or your income, you can qualify on income, and that's an income of $200,000 or more per year. Or as a household, if your household earns $300,000 or more per year, then you're an accredited investor. And what does Sugo exactly invest in? So I speak tomorrow afternoon, and I'll go through the 3 categories that we primarily invest in as Sugo Capital. We have a platform that has a whole bunch of different investments on it, but we'll go through the 3 main ones tomorrow afternoon, and they are real estate. So multifamily syndications, real estate funds, oil and gas for the lovely tax advantage against your W-2 income, and then we have some algorithmic trading funds, so Forex and gold. And so those are high producing cash flow funds, investment funds for our investors. So those are the 3 categories today to answer that. All right. Other questions? So there's kind of some more sophisticated, I'll call it, questions about backdoor Roth conversions or taking money out of IRAs. When do you pay tax on it if you're taking it out? Kaaren, do you want to address those, or do you think those are questions for a CPA?
No, I can address that. The backdoor
Okay.
Roth is when you have a pre-tax account, like maybe a SEP IRA, which, by the way, the contribution for 2024 is $69,000 to a SEP. You have to be self-employed, but so people will do that. They'll make a contribution to a SEP or a traditional IRA and then do a Roth conversion. So convert that money into Roth. Maybe you make too much money because there's also a cap on how much you earn to be able to contribute to a Roth. So this is a way to get money into a Roth account. Understand though, when you do convert money to Roth, that is taxable. The dollar amount that you've converted will show up on a 1099. You'll pay tax on that dollar amount.
Thank you for that. A couple questions, and this is pretty common. If I don't have enough funds in my Roth, how do I get the account large enough to actually make some investments, like some of these self-directed investments? And I'll say one thing and then I'll pass it to you, Kaaren, but oftentimes we'll make an exception. So if an investor is like, hey, I know your minimum is 50K on this investment. I'd like to come in with 50K cash. And then can I also add 25K for my Roth, because that's the size of my Roth. So sometimes we'll make an exception. So whoever you're investing with may allow you to, you wouldn't be co-investing, you wouldn't be commingling your funds. You'd have 2 separate investment accounts into the same investment. And we do that often. So talk to whoever you're investing with, they might allow it. And then Kaaren, do you have anything to say to that? Because you can't add like 50K into your IRA this year, so sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, you can you can do the backdoor Roth. So you can contribute. I just put an article in the chat because at this point in time, up until the tax filing date of April 15th, you can still make a prior year contribution, a 2023 contribution, and a 2024 contribution. So you can make a double contribution right now to get more money in there. That's one way to get funds in there. And the other one would, particularly for a Roth, would be to convert pre-tax dollars to Roth.
Okay, there you go. And I do want to say, because I see someone, I had an employer deferred comp plan separated from that employer. Am I able to roll it into a solo K or self-directed? Usually, Kenny. And then also, surprisingly, Kaaren, we've seen several people lately who they're still at their job and their employer does allow them to take a portion of their 401k and roll it into a self-directed account. So it's always worth asking if you're still currently employed and you have a retirement account with that employer. Okay, Zoe's asking, will you allow several IRAs and HSAs to invest together to meet that fund requirement? This way all accounts can grow together.
You can, but it can get messy, right?
And Zoe, if they're all yours, if you bundle them all together into one investment, you can do that, but then you're not diversified. So if that's like the total of your accounts and all your retirement accounts are in one investment, I mean, that wouldn't make me feel very comfortable. I'd want to diversify. So I'd suggest doing that if you can. But now if you're saying, you know, I have my IRA and my mom's IRA and my cousin's IRA, and we all want to invest in a single capital investment, that's totally fine. You'd have completely separate accounts. There would be no uh, prohibited transactions in that case. So you can have family members invest alongside you in syndications if you're not the person who's doing the syndication like myself. So in case that was also the direction your question was going. Ooh, I think the answer is no, but let me ask you this, Kaaren. Can I
Okay.
personally borrow money from my kids' self-directed IRAs for a syndication?
No, because you're disallowed to your children are disallowed to you. So no, you couldn't do that. But if the children have a retirement account and contribute to it, that means that they have earned income. So maybe their retirement accounts with their earned income can just go ahead and invest directly into a syndication if they qualify to do that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Question about my checkbook LLC's bank is offering the LLC a business credit card with 0% interest for 12 months.
Oh,
If I
my.
take it, don't you it? Don't do it.
No, you don't take a personal line of credit from an IRA owned LLC. Though you don't take on debt because you can only have non-recourse debt in an IRA. You can't have recourse debt. That would be a prohibited transaction. So you would not take a credit card. You could take a debit card and use that, but not a credit card.
If it's a business credit card?
Doesn't matter. Credit, just not a credit card. You could just a debit card.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, A. Hilton. Don't use that business credit card. What does SUGOR require as proof of being an accredited investor? So there's two ways. We have an accredited investor form, and you fill it out and you give it to your CPA and they sign it, you know, basically saying, yeah, they, you know, meet one of these two requirements. Some people said, hey, my CPA doesn't sign those things. Fine. You can have someone else like account manager, you know, if you have $5 million at Wells Fargo and they sign that you do have a net worth of X amount. So that's taking the letter and then having someone sign it. And the other way is you can go, there's several third parties that verify. So we don't personally verify you. So you don't send us your W-2, you don't send us your bank statements or anything like that. But there are third-party websites and we'll choose one and we pay for it for you if you're investing with us. And there's an attorney on the other side in the website. So you submit documents via a website and then they review it and then they spit out a certificate. You can keep the certificate for any other investment you do, and then you give one of the certificates to us. And then we upload it into our portal so that when the SEC wants us to provide proof that we have the letter, then we have it. I hope that answers your question. And some people, so this is interesting. So you just need to prove that your net worth is $1 million or more. Because some people say, oh, you know, I have, my net worth is 20 million and I have it in like 18 LLCs. And oh my gosh, to go through this verifying that I'm an accredited investor on this website is going to take me like 5 days. You just need to prove that your net worth is over $1 million. So I just want to say that. So you could choose how much time you put into it, but that is the requirement. All right.
Not including your primary residence. Yeah.
Correct. All right, Tanisha, do you see that one at the bottom for you from Janine regarding the debt snowball? I don't really have cash flow or money to invest in this myself, but I have quite a bit of money in self-directed IRA that I could use. I had a strategy session. They told me it couldn't be done, but it sounds like you just said it couldn't be done. What should we do?
Yes, you can use it in your self-directed IRA. There's two ways to do it. Usually people that already have mortgaged real estate, they can do it, but there's a way to do it to reduce the UBIT or the tax on it. And, you know, Sarah was just saying that she has a tax professional that talks a little bit about that for her investments. same thing, right? We have tax strategists that know how to reduce or eliminate, because if you have a rental property or whatnot, that you have a mortgage on, a non-recourse loan, like Kaaren was talking about, you may be subject to that. I mean, there's ways to reduce or really severely eliminate or reduce or eliminate that UBIT tax. So, but yeah, you could do it. And we have clients that are using the income snowball inside of their IRA as well.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
See some questions about moving IRAs, and these are duplicate questions. Yes, you can totally transfer from one custodian to uDirect. I see a question about whole life policies and health requirements. That's exactly what the speaker is going to talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow we have two speakers. The first speaker at 11 Pacific will be Brent, and he's talking about whole life. And so what, Tanisha was talking about a way to use whole life in the income snowball, and Brent is going to show how to use whole life for a whole bunch of different things. So in addition to that, you'll have a bunch of ways, not just to let it sit there. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but really how to maximize it, how to get your money working for you 2 and 3 times, and to reinvest and take advantage of that arbitrage. And it's really flexible. So, and he's a great speaker. He has so many good examples where you can see it visually and tangibly how it can make a difference, instead of, some people talk about it and it's too theoretical. He gives exact examples over time with math. So that's going to be great tomorrow. So if you have questions, come see Brent tomorrow. He's the first speaker tomorrow. And I think we're pretty good on, I scroll down, there's even more questions. I'll pick one more before we do a wrap. So links are in the chat. Links will be, how to book a call with either team and get in contact. I see a bunch of people asking about that. It's in the chat right now. And also when we send out the recording, it'll have all the links. So if you're like, I can't click, it's not working, maybe everyone's just clicking at the same time. There are a lot of people in this event. So know that it'll be in the email. You'll get all the resources. So you'll be able to book and get in contact. And some of these more nuanced questions that you have, that is a great opportunity to reach out and explain your individual situation to see if, it's the appropriate thing for you. And yeah, so I will end with that because I think I kind of covered the rest of it with that broad overview. So I want to say thank you to Kaaren, thank you to Tanisha.
Yeah.
You can see how engaged everyone was. We still have open 60 questions we didn't get to. But hopefully all you guys, reach out to the companies and the folks that you see on the screen. They're here to help. And my clients who work with them, they have great things to say about their companies and their offerings. So with that, I'll say thanks to the speakers and then audience. Thank you for being here for the last 2 hours. We're going to do 2 hours Thursday and 2 hours Friday, and they're going to be completely different subjects. So tomorrow is whole life, super dynamic speaker. So if you've been interested in it and you haven't fully understood it because of the way someone describes it, tomorrow, the person describing it, it's going to be super crystal clear to you. And then I'll be speaking tomorrow as well. So if you're like, what are syndications? What are passive income investments? How do I know what to invest in? I'm going to be talking about 3 passive income funds that we have and how you can be confident choosing them or not choosing them to be in your portfolio based on your goals and based on what's going on in the world. Because what may have been a great investment 5 years ago may not be a great investment 5 years from now. And so we need to know where to move our money all the time based on what's going on in the world. So I will cover that deep into investments. And then on Friday, asset protection and tax strategy. So those are going to be really, really solid advice for some really solid people, Don Pendleton and John Heyer. And they're also very dynamic. So we look forward to having you guys there. Replays will be sent every night. Keep an eye. Some people are saying, I had trouble with links. They're all in the emails. Check your emails. I can't wait to spend the next 2 days with you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.